Now, Linda, I know you've got a fascinating background, and here at Industry Angel, we are all about stories. So come on, let's share a couple. I know you've got a bunch.
Oh, I have so many stories it would take forever. I'm going to tell you a story that I put in my Men Who Think With Their Dicks chapter, and I entitled it, Mick Jagger Can't Always Get What He Wants. So when I was a first-year associate, okay, so I'm brand new, my fiance was at another law firm specializing in music law, and the Rolling Stones were his boss's premier client. And when you're an attorney to an artist or a band, you not only serve their legal needs, but you end up being their shrink, their minder, sometimes their errand runner. And this was almost 40 years ago. So Jagger was still a very sexy man, although I just saw him at Old Cella and he still looked pretty damn good. The Stones were in town, and my fiance and I were invited to a party for them at the law partner's house in Bel Air. And we pull up in front of this mansion with a big circular drive in a front yard the size of a football field. We walk into the house's giant hallway foyer, which itself was large enough to hold the entire party, and had a staircase that was designed to showcase whoever was sweeping down it. And it was a typical party, lots of drinking, talking, hanging around, but with the added thrill of knowing you were partying with the Stones. And everyone was flushed with drink and joking and laughing and styling as the music played. And we all knew we could say, in later years, well, when I was hanging out with the Rolling Stones. So Jagger decided it was time to leave the party. And we had not spoken. We had not had any interaction whatsoever. So he strode through the foyer, and there's about 40 or 50 of us in the foyer drinking and talking. And he has his bodyguards flanking him. And everyone stopped talking, as he knew they would, and gawked at him. And he glanced around like a lion looking for his next prey. And then he walked up to me and he said, "You're with me tonight." And he turned on his heel and walked out, not looking back, never having a single doubt in his mind that I would follow him. And I thought, what an asshole. Who does he think he is? So he didn't hear the clack of my high heels behind him. So he turns around when he gets to the door and he looks back at the whole group and he says in a impatient, rude voice, "I said you're with me tonight." And I just looked at him and I moved my head from side to side, no. And the look of astonishment on his face was priceless. And then he just turned around and left. And no one could believe I said no to him. Everyone thought I should have gone. But the thing is, the reason I leave it in, I use it in the Men Who Think With Their Dicks, is that I wanted my fiancé to succeed at his law firm, and this was the main partner's primary client, and I turned Jagger down in front of his fiance's boss and everyone else. And, should I have followed Jagger out the door and slept with him to further my fiance's career? No way. Hell no.
So you just thought you'd out him in front of 50 women?
Yep. I may be the only woman who's ever turned Jagger down. I don't know.
Well, it's great that you can have a chapter on it now and see if that never happened, eh? Right, come on. I know there's more in there. I want more. Come on.
Oh, well, no. More, more in the sexual harassment, or just another story?
Just another story. I know you've got a bunch.
All right, I'll tell you one more. But this actually happened to me. This was, I think you have those things you call it. Some of your people talk about transformative moments.
Okay.
The reason I didn't tell this story here is because it wasn't related to something that happened at work that caused me to change the way I think about work. I think it just was something that happened in my life that showed me a certain way that I wanted to make sure that I was never, ever powerless again. So I was an exchange student in Peru, in Arequipa, Peru. And there was a thing there where it was through the American Field Service. And so this is back when I was 16 years old, which wasn't yesterday. And so at the time, remember, there were no cell phones, there weren't computers. It was a whole different era. And, so I go down and it's 4,700 miles from home. And I'm 16, and you stay with a family, your Peruvian family, but of course they're not really one of your family. And I go to school on the first day, and the Mother Superior calls an assembly, and everyone's there from grade kindergarten through the seniors, to introduce me to the American exchange students. So she asked me, the room is packed with all the girls from every grade, all the teachers. And the Mother Superior had me stand up and face everyone and began asking me questions in Spanish. And after a series of innocuous questions, she asked me my religion. Mm-hmm. And I said, soy una judía, which means I am a Jew. And she looked at me, she smiled, turned around to the blackboard and drew an enormous swastika, turned back around and said to me, I think Hitler was the greatest man who ever lived.
Wow.
Okay. So I'm going, what the hell? And in my head, I'm translating it, making sure she's really saying that.
Yeah.
And so she's smiling and she says, do you agree with me? And I said, no. And she said, why? And I said, because he killed 6 million Jews. And the Mother Superior turned back to the blackboard and used the chalk to make the swastika even bolder. And then said, well, I believe Hitler was the greatest man who ever lived.
She's a Catholic nun.
Yes. And there was not a single sound in the entire room. I mean, seriously, the idea of you could hear a pin. And so the thing about it was that, first of all, now I think I should have mentioned that he also killed 2 million Catholics, because that might have affected her, but I doubt it. But not only was it an incredibly ignorant and hateful thing to say, but she was supposed to be a leader, an educator, molding in the minds of children. And so here's what I took from that. I had no options to combat what had happened. I had no means to retaliate. The Mother Superior had all the power and authority. And yes, I had spoken up, and yes, I had disagreed. But I had no additional weapons in my arsenal. And I was utterly alone, far from any ability to call home or ask for any sort of adult help. I told my Peruvian family, they were sort of shrugged. And I had to go to school for the whole year.
Did you really? Wow.
Yeah, so I had to summon my strength and hold my head up and behave respectfully. But here's what I learned. This is the lesson I learned. It is demoralizing and degrading to be powerless.
Okay.
And I never wanted to be in that position again. And so it helped me cultivate toughness and bravery that I've needed throughout my career, because I was not going to be in that position ever again.
Wow, that's really stuck in your mind. I know it's obviously a massive thing. It's a really strange thing, but so that's obviously stuck in your mind, yeah? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There's more to that experience, but that's the primary thing.
Wow. That's weird. I don't even know what to say to that. Wow.
No, there's nothing to say. And
I wonder if she wanted a reaction out of you or something.
She did. I don't think she cared what I said. No, but it's just that idea that I really think no one wants to be powerless.
Okay.
And that it's very important to be able to be bold and find, I call them weapons in my arsenal. It sounds like I'm a military person. I don't have a gun or anything like, or knife or anything like that. But it's just that idea of having having mechanisms at your disposal so you can deal with people when they do something like that.
Yeah.
She happened to be picking on a little 16-year-old girl in a foreign country.
In a foreign country, yes.
Yeah, but it just made me vow that I was not going to let people step on me or say terrible things to me again and be unable to do anything about it.